This is Dan Havey from Solver. We're here today to talk about translating your company vision into balanced scorecard. Real quick overview, the tool that I'm using to build these scorecards is called BI 360. And if you look on the bottom, all the gray area, think of these as all your data silos, your sources of information that you're using today to do analytics, possibly scorecards today. We're going to bring all that into a common SQL Server data warehouse. Now, I mentioned the data warehouse is SQL Server. It can be on-premise or it can be on Microsoft Azure cloud. And so again, we're going to bring it all in one place, allow you to report against it, budget against it, and build dashboards. This green layer, think of it as a wrapper. Can all exist in Excel only, or you create everything in Excel and publish up to a web portal so that your end users don't have to fool with finding that Excel spreadsheet, stuff like that. So that's the architecture, the overview of BI 360. BI 360, what it does is it leverages your existing knowledge of Excel. The report writer is Excel. So most of you folks on the line today, I'm sure, are very comfortable using Excel. You already know 90% of the tool. Once you got a template you like, you're going to be able to publish that Excel template up to a web portal and allow folks to use that template with inputting variables, month number, customer number, things of that nature. Again, it solves some of the pain points having all of your data silos in so many different places, which tends to bog down or make it very painful, if you will, to build balanced scorecards on a repetitive basis because there's data all over the place. We're going to bring it all together and make it very easy. All right, so let's get into what is a balanced scorecard. The balanced scorecard is a strategic and planning management system that organizations use too. So the first thing they use the balanced scorecard is try to tell folks what their goal is, what they're trying to accomplish. And that's so that's the first main thing is management gets together typically in January, senior management, and they lay out some goals for the year. They all like that stuff, and then they go back to their branches, their jobs, and then forget about all those goals because nobody's tracking it. So first thing you want to do is communicate your goals to the network, all your disparate employees. And then my day-to-day job, does it sync up with the company's strategy and vision? Am I doing something that's counter to that, or it just has nothing to do with the company goals? If so, having vision of the corporate strategic goals and operational goals and stuff helps me prioritize what I'm doing, projects, services, and so forth. And then you got to have a way to measure that progress. If it doesn't get measured, it doesn't get done. So who championed the balanced scorecard? A couple of fellows, Robert Kaplan and David Norton. They really came up with a good common sense approach. Classically, folks would look at performance of the company strictly by its financials. What are my earnings per share? What are my member balances? What's my income ratios? What's my efficiency ratio? Stuff like that. But what their point was, that's only part of the picture. That just tends to satisfy the shareholders, or if you're a mutual or a credit union, the members. Of course, you got to track those financials, but there's much more than that. There's your customers. They said you need to also track some customer performance measures. A lot of times, folks will do satisfaction surveys, maybe cross-sell ratios, maybe balances per household, but you need to bring in customer metrics to get a rounder picture of how you're performing as an institution. Not only that, you need to incorporate some business processes. What is the number of teller items that I'm processing per teller per day? What is the dollar amount of loans outstanding per loan officer? And then lastly, your employees. How are my employees doing? Am I retaining them? Am I investing in them with training? Lots of ways, and then same thing, employee satisfaction surveys. And what they said is if you focus on these four things rather than just financial alone, then the company as a whole is going to get better at taking care of their customers, taking care of their employees, and coming up with better processes, and they'll be much more efficient organization, and all that will drive better financial results. Classic issue is I'm the branch manager, I'm the department manager, and I've got way too much information to do my job. So I mentioned you've got your various users of the organization are publishing reports, and think of those as MP3 files. And your report portal could quickly fill up with a couple hundred reports. So one of the problems with them publishing all this mass amount of information out here is it's information overload for that branch manager, that department manager. They're trying to manage their job. That's a lot of data. You're talking about, general ledger data, loans data, deposit data, securities data, customer information data, funds transfer pricing data, as well as your activity-based costing. So that's why we have a data warehouse. You've got all this information all over the place. So let me show you real quickly the data warehouse model, how flexible it is. And you can bring data from any data source. It can come as a CSV file. It can come as an Excel spreadsheet. It can come as an extract from Correlation, Fiserv, Jack Henry. It can come as a SQL Server table, as a DB2 table. Really doesn't matter. So we're going to bring it all together in a common data warehouse. Well, that's great, but how do we get started? I understand all the data is together. And Excel's a report writer. Before I go ahead and build my scorecard, I need to be able to figure out how to drag and drop these fields into Excel. So I'm going to go and say I want a new report on the current worksheet. And you'll notice in the data warehouse where I was just at, it shows all the tables that I have access to, general ledger, my revenue models, my loan performance model, all that stuff. And the way it works is a drag and drop type of thing. So I'm going to go into my general ledger, and let's just say I want to do a real quick trial balance. I'll drag an account number, and I want it to break on row. And then let's say I want the description of that account. I want it for my actuals, so I'm going to pick the scenario. I want it to be for just the actuals. So I'm going to drag in the period. Same thing, I want to limit the period. Let's just say I want to do 6 months of 2016. So you pick out your periods, and then your balance. What is it? Is it my monthly activity? Is it my year-to-date balance, ending balance, aggregate balance? This is just simply the monthly activity. I'll go ahead and format that cell, and then let's just go ahead and run it. And then I didn't put in a sheet per. You'll bring in an account, description, balances, and then those are the 6 months that I chose for my scenario equals actual. Everything is fully drillable, just like on the web portal. So the key is what is important to the company. Like I said, we get together in January and we say, yeah, we got all these certain goals and we're going to grow the company's net income and all that type of stuff. So what this bank did is they got together, and I just made it simple. It's just a 10-branch bank. And they said, well, we know some of the financial goals needs to be loan growth, loan production, deposit growth, new checking accounts. You want to come up with a few good finance measures. These would be the finance measures. Well, I got to come up with some operational measures as well. Loans per officer at the branch. And then the non-officer FTEs, how much of a deposit load is being carried. So this would be my, typically my tellers or my customer service reps. And then investing in employees, extremely crucial to this company. So they're tracking it, the total number of training hours at the branch or the department divided by the number of FTEs. And then some of the customer measures. These folks chose to go after total balances per household. So they came up with all these goals based on these various measures. So they went ahead and did all that, and then they just saw how people lined up. Oh, all right, so let's look at this. This Asheboro branch had a $1.2 million loan growth, and that would sync up as in the second quartile. So they should get a score of 2 on that particular measure. And so they did. That's how they got a 2. Loan production, they got a 3. So let's look at their score here. So they did 4.7 million, and how that compares to the goals is between 4.5, 3.6, so they got a score of 3. So they went ahead and took everybody's measures, compared them to the goals, and this is what shook out. Now, doing this, instantly every branch has something they can work on. So the point of this, of the balanced scorecard, is at a glance, rather than having to go to my web portal, look at 10 different reports, spending hours trying to figure out what am I supposed to focus on. You look at this scorecard and almost immediately any single branch knows exactly what they need to be focusing on. But that's the beauty is, and then as everyone focuses on their weak points, bit by bit those ones will flip over to twos, and if overall performance for each person goes up a little bit, the franchise as a whole is only going to get better, only going to get stronger. So tying it all together for an individual branch, here's those measures. So let's say, same concept, I dragged and dropped all those various fields. I'm going to run it here. And this now will be from the branch perspective. Here's my scores for the last 12 months. These are the benchmarks laid out, median, quartile, top quartile, bottom quartile. And I can see right at a glance I need to improve deposit growth. Now let's bring it all the way back to the web portal. Where I was back in my library. What do I need to do my job? I'm just going to go straight to my branch scorecard. And then I'm just simply going to dial in, pull up my branch, and if I just focus on this one thing, this balanced scorecard, it tells me what I need to do to improve performance. And that's the whole goal here, is now I'm fully aligned with what's important to the company as a whole. What is its vision and the weight that they put on these various measures. All right, well, folks, I hope you've found this informative, and really appreciate your feedback. Again, be on the lookout for the link, and I'll get that out to you in the next couple of days. Hope you all have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.